So, all right. Good morning, friends. Okay. So I was trying to prepare for this, and I decided that because it's the season of love, I wanted to talk about love. So last week I had talked about this adult tea set. Remember, y'all, that I had talked about this adult tea set with the beautiful creamer and and sugar and everything. And then I had said the only thing that would make this better would be a teapot. And then I found out that they had a teapot, and I had to have it. So I ordered it, and I've already received it. And this is the teapot. Can you all see that? Isn't it gorgeous? It was like a tea for one, and so it has like a teacup, and you put them together like this, and I think it's so pretty. Anyway, that's part of the reason why I named this morning what I named it. But anyway, so I have a funny story. At least I think it's funny. So I have a some of you know that I have a inherited a about 100 scarves from my mother. So my mom passed away in 2021, and I got like nearly all of her scarves, and I'm wearing one presently. But I had this funny story. I had bought her this scarf like a few years ago, um, before she passed, obviously. And at the time, I was collecting boxes for like Christmas gifts, and so I had put it in a coffee box, like a box for like Keurig like coffee cups, and so my mom, when she opened it, she had no idea what it was, and so she thought I had given her coffee, and she didn't open it. So she had no idea that um I had given her a scarf. But anyway, I just thought that was a funny story. But anyway, I wanted to talk about love. So I've noticed this growing trend social media on social media where people are putting out a whole lot of videos, especially women, about this idea, which seems to come out of like heartbreak. I mean, like truly, I feel like it's somebody got somebody ended the relationship with them, or they were treated unfairly, or they were cheated on, or something happened. I don't know what, and they are unhappy, and so um so there's this Miley Cyrus song that talks about uh that I can bring myself flowers, and I can, you know, I can hold my own hand and all of this stuff. And I talk a little bit in my material about this idea of almost toxic individualism, or toxic, like, women and staunch singleness, and how it's like somehow preferred, like we don't need men, all of this. And and i and I am, God, I understand where it's coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with it completely. I mean, having been a person who has spent a whole lot of my life single, and I can tell you that it's not the same. It's not the same buying yourself flowers. It's not the same. You can't really hold your own hand. Um like independence, that's the word that I'm really looking for. Like this almost toxic independence that is expected of women today, especially older women. I don't know if it's true. I guess they want young women to get married and have children. But after you've done that, then I guess you're supposed to be staunchly independent and never need anyone else for the rest of your life. And I'm not really talking about like this neediness, like people who like go from relationships to feel feel something in them, like this emptiness. I don't feel like I have a massive emptiness in myself but I think that it would be great to share my life with someone. So I continue to be a a um a optimistic romantic. I'm optimistic about it. But anyway, but there's two different books and people that I've read books on love that I think are worth noting, because a lot of what is taught to us about love in society and movies and culture is is not necessarily, like, I'm just going to say it, it's not really love. I mean, we sort of, and I know this because I've done this for years, where it's just about, what are you doing for me? What are you doing for me? How do you fit my needs, and not having anything to do with actually giving, because love is actually giving. It's not this thing where it's just all about me, me, me. I mean, what I found in my last significant relationship, and I think this is where it comes from, is that the real joy for me and that particular relationship was in loving. It was in loving, not necessarily being loved. I mean, it would be nice to be loved, but it felt so good to love someone, to hold someone in high esteem. And so that was a real contrast from significant relationships that I'd been with before that, where I really was in the mindset of, what have you done for me recently? Which isn't love. It's not really love. But I didn't know that at the time. And I guess you do better when you know better, right? So I want to talk about these two theorists. As I want to start out with my love, Thich Nhat Hanh. He talked a lot on the notion of love and and romantic love. Like, I think love in general, loving kindness, loving toward ourselves and mankind, loving toward nature, and this kind of thing. But he also talked about romantic love, and he talked about how it's no longer like that we can no longer be, if we love someone, we can no longer be that. If you are suffering, I I'm not responsible for that. Because like when you love someone, you are interested in ending their suffering. And I think that that is like the biggest takeaway that I got from his teachings on love, is that when you love someone, you want to do whatever is required for that person's happiness, for that person, the ending of their suffering. like and so, okay, what do we have to do for this to be better, um he also talked about mindful listening. He talked about this a lot in his, I guess it's called Dharma. Is it called Dharma talk? I had attended a Plum Village retreat last year. That was just so lovely, and I learned a lot about Buddhism. I was pretty oblivious, it- minus the teachings that I learned from Thich Nhat Hanh. But I feel like his teachings were, I guess, transcended Buddhism, um, which is one of the things that I really liked about him, because he wrote books on, like, he wrote a book called The Living Buddha, The Living Christ. And so I really liked that book. And I liked the fact that it transcended, um, his teachings transcended Buddhism. But anyway, so he talked about mindful listening, because they actually showed one of his talks, and he had already passed away at the time. And it was a really special retreat for me, because in real time I got to watch this ceremony where they spreaded his ashes. It was so, I don't even know how to describe how beautiful it was, but I guess I can try. It was like the first time that they had actually allowed people into the monastery after COVID. And so there were all these families that came to this ceremony, and so it was the nuns and monks at the monastery, and then there were people that were walking behind, including families, and there were young children there. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And the care that they took with his ashes, I mean, they had him in these beautiful bowls, and the nuns and the priests were taking turns carrying his ashes out to his, I guess he took this walking meditation. I don't know if it was daily, but it was a thing that he did an awful lot. And it was through kind of a foresty area. And then at the end of it were all of these Buddhist like sculptures. It seemed like rock sculptures of some sort, but anyway, and then the nuns and priests, that they had these bowls of his ashes, and they took spoons, and then the people would walk up and they would get a spoonful of his ashes, and then they would spread them in around this area. And it was just so beautiful, to see, like, even children just carefully spreading his ashes and saying intentions and toward him with so much love and care. But anyway, he's somebody that had just such a huge, and I believe still does, have such a huge impact on my life. So he's one that I really believe in his teachings on love, and the biggest takeaway from that particular. Oh, I wanted to share about the mindful listening. So during that retreat, I got to listen to one of his talks that he had given during his life, and he talked about mindful listening, because he talked about like a couple, and he gave the example of a couple being somewhere and the wife feeling disrespected, that the husband said something during that time and he felt disrespected, and then she didn't talk about it, and she held it within herself. And he said it's preferable for us to mindfully listen to the people that we love, so that we can make the necessary changes for them to feel not disrespected in the relationship. So that was one of the things that I had heard from him during that retreat that had a impact on me. I I am a counselor by trade, and so I work with young children, and so I spend a whole lot of time just listening. I mean, with children it's kind of weird. You have some that really talk a lot, and then you have others that don't. And so it just kind of depends on the child, but I try my best to mindfully listen and stay present during my visits with children. Okay, and then the second book that I absolutely love on the subject of love, love on the subject of love, is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Um, this is a really good book on love. And my biggest takeaway on this particular book has to do with okay, so he talks about people and he puts them in these two categories of people who like dogs and people who like cats. And he said, so you're in this relationship and you really like cats, but you have selected a dog. and and he would say that if you really prefer cats, then you should let the dog go so that the dog can go find someone who likes dogs. and so so and I think it's kind of true, and it's all like you can kind of tell when you're in a relationship with someone if they're jiving with you, if they like truly like you, because a lot of relationship really does kind of come down to just full on compatibility. But but the thing that I got out of it that was kind of like perplexing for me personally is like, okay, so what if you like dogs and cats? Because I like dogs and cats. So what does that mean? I mean, not that I don't haven't written down my list of qualities that I would be looking for or would enjoy having in a partner, but um I I don't know where I come into that because I am neither a cat lover nor a dog lover per se. I love both of them. So anyway, this is a really good book on love if you are interested in reading something about that. So I called this tea with blonde hair girl. I don't know if I actually specifically called it that, but so I got my new mug that I showed you guys from last week. And today I decided to put loose leaf tea. So I drink teas in different like forms. Like sometimes I use bags of tea and then sometimes I use loose leaf tea. But there have been times in my life where tea has been used like medicinally with me. And I have gotten a great deal of joy from just drinking tea. I don't know. I don't know. It's like some people consider tea medicine, and that could be true. And so I wanted to talk about. I had bought this specific kind of tea from the farmers market, and this tea has is it reishi mushroom? This is a mushroom tea, so the medicinal. I don't know if I say that word right. Qualities of mushrooms and tea together, and and then they also like sell these like salts that you can put in your food, and they actually sell mushrooms that you can cook, or I guess eat raw, however you want to eat them. But the qualities of herbs and mushrooms to help us in our lives and feeling better in our body. So, which brings me to this company that I absolutely love. Oh my God, I love them so much. I got wind of this company from the farmers market. I've been shopping at our farmers market for years, but like especially the last 5 years. And I was shopping there a lot during COVID too. It was like the coolest thing. No sooner did they start the lockdowns that our farmers market started this thing where you could go in and make your order and then come and pick up your boxes, and they had like anything you could need. Like they had your produce, they had like chicken you could buy, they had milk, they had bread. I mean, like um anything that you would want to buy, they had it. But during the last 5 years, I also got shined on to this company, which is actually out of Sedona. So It's called Oak Creek Apple Company. So Oak Creek Apple Company, and you can buy all of their products online. And and so I've gotten into, like, I mean, you can see I'm a little bit obsessed, because I've gotten into all these little, like, tinctures, um, and now I've gotten into, like, when I run out of them, I buy them again. So I had heard in the community that dandelion is really good for your heart, because God, I even hate to talk about it, but I have, I guess I have high blood pressure. And I did finally buy myself a blood pressure cup. My cardiologist had been wanting me to buy one for years. And then I finally caved and bought myself a blood pressure cup. And so I'm trying to devote myself to taking my blood pressure every morning. And the truth is that it's almost never normal. Almost never. Like, every time I wake up and actually take my blood pressure, it is slightly high or high. And I do take blood pressure medication, and I'm really bratty about it. Like, I'm not consistent, and I keep being reminded by the people who love me in my life to take my medicine. And they make me promise. And when I make a promise, I try my best to keep it. So then I start taking it, at least for a while. Ugh. Um, but anyway, I had heard that dandelion is really good for your cardiovascular health. And so rather than going and collecting a bunch of dandelions from a yard and boiling them down, and also the other thing in my mind about that is that I don't know what's been on those dandelions. Like, as far as in my neighborhood, I just have this feeling that there could absolutely be um, a poison, like, for, like, God, what do you call it? Sorry, sometimes my memory, going through the file of my memory, pesticide. They use a lot of pesticides. The gardeners or the landscapers that keep in the area I live in use a lot of pesticides. And so, I mean, I don't even let my dog eat the grass around here. And so I'm not going to go collect dandelions. So I buy this and take it. This is my second bottle of this. And I have a hard time throwing these bottles away. So I've, like, collected all of these bottles, and I don't even know what to do with them. I'm like, what do I do with these? I mean, I suppose I should throw them out, but it just feels so bad to me to waste. I'm one of those. I get neurotic about waste. But anyway, so this is the dandelion. And then I also have the elderberry spice. I'm really into elderberry. I drink a lot of kombucha, and I also buy kombucha at the farmers market that I go to, and they usually always have the elderberry. And then I heard something on social media that you have to be careful with elderberry with some autoimmune things like MS and rheumatoid arthritis and things like that. And God, I just hate to, I don't want to talk about my ailments, but the truth is that I do sometimes have, like, nerve pain. I have, like, sciatica that goes down the left side of my body. And it's been a whole lot better in the last few months, but there had been times where it would wake me up at night and I couldn't sleep because I was in so much pain. And so, I mean, I feel like I need to do a little bit of investigating, because I really do use a lot of elderberry. But this is an immune support with star anise and licorice root. Anyway, and then the last one I get is, which I think is kind of funny. It's called Black Magic, and it's for stress and detox. Um, And this is another one that I buy from them that I really like. So what I do is in the morning, I get a really small thing of water, and then I squirt like some of this into the water and drink it. I try to do that every day. Um, and then okay, so talking about my sciatica. And then I have like something going on with my left hip. I don't know what it is. I try when I get an ailment, my first thing that I do is try to ignore it as much as humanly possible. I try to ignore whatever ailment it is, but I I sometimes I can't because it just keeps bothering me. And the Oak Creek Apple Company sells this as well. It's called Inferno. I'm wondering if you guys can see that okay. It's called Inferno, and it has like peppermint, rosemary, and clove in it. And it's like muscle and joint pain support. And I use this and I swear by this stuff. My daughter actually got me shined onto it. And this stuff, this has like it has arnica in it and cayenne, ginger, black pepper, and peppermint, rosemary, and clove. And it kind of does smell like clove. It doesn't have a very, honestly, it doesn't have the best scent, which I'm really into that kind of stuff. The way something smells is really like, guess I have a sensitive nose, but I use this anyway, even though it, even though it doesn't smell as great to me. And then I use this like Immortal. It's the one with the butterfly. Although I saw one of her videos recently and she's changing her packaging. This is and it has black amethyst and lavender in it. It's an anti-aging and firming. And I use this on my face religiously, like every morning, with my when I'm putting my makeup on. Before I put anything on my skin, I put this cream on my skin, and I love it. And when I saw her at the farmer's market this week, she told me that they have this very special Valentine's Day, which I will be buying next week, face cream, and it was really light and nice. I got to test it out, but I wasn't able to buy it yet. But and it was glittery, and I was asking her about that, and she said that it was amethyst, that it was a amethyst, or no, it wasn't amethyst, it was mica. It had like mica shavings in it that made it look all glistening-y. But anyway, so that's about all I have today. I feel like I just crammed in a whole lot of stuff in a bit of time. Anyway, appreciate you guys. I'll come back. Maybe I'll come back next week. I really wanted to do a video on like I don't know, I guess kind of a testimonial about myself, because sometimes I wonder if people are like why the hell is she doing what she does? Why does she put out all this material? I mean, it's like in some ways kind of random, a person like me putting out all this material, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't shared on my YouTube station. I've talked about most of it on my podcasting, but I haven't shared it on my YouTube station, partly because I don't know, it's not easy for me to talk about some of the things like with my face showing. I have an easier time talking about it if my face is not showing, because the stuff that I'm talking about is just so far out. Like it's paranormal, some kind of contact with entities, um, I guess kind of extraterrestrial like life beings. Um, and and it was just like really, really, truly very weird. And sometimes when I hear like other people talking, like I did seem like I was having a psychotic break, to be really frank, but I have so many proof. I have so much proof of it that it could have been a combination of a lot of things, but I still have these kinds of things happen like nearly every day. So, but I have theories about that, that either it has calmed down or I've gotten used to it, or it's a combination of both. It's calmed down and I've gotten used to it. But anyway, so next week I'm thinking about coming out of the closet and on camera sharing with you guys my story, and maybe I won't do it in a live. Maybe I will record a Zoom. um Maybe I'll record a Zoom and I will download it. That may be the best thing for me to do now that I think about it. But anyway, love you guys. I'll be back.